Chapter 21 Heart to Heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Yao makes a bet with his life, which is determined by a certain amount of certainty. First of all, he reacted quickly enough. As long as he noticed Zhu Zhuqing's move to draw a knife, he could use the explosive step to leave her attack range. Second, even if he didn't react in time, he still had Chaos Xingluo as his trump card. As long as the injury was not serious, he would be able to survive. The most important thing is that Zhu Zhuqing came back and explained to him the reason for assassinating him. It is very likely that he has given up the idea of assassinating him. Zhu Zhuqing moved forward slowly and gradually walked to his side. Dai Yao's heart was beating like thunder. This distance had exceeded the limit of his reaction. The distance is getting closer and closer. As long as Zhu Zhuqing stabs him all at once, Chaos Xingluo may not be able to be saved, but thinking of his own judgment, he gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and waited for the verdict of fate. Time passed by like a year, and my skin felt no pain, only the slightest bit of coldness. Dai Yao opened his eyes. Zhu Zhuqing was closing his open clothes with icy little hands. The moonlight shines through the window on her side face, and her long eyelashes cast a gentle silhouette. Dai Yao couldn't help laughing. He knew that the girl in front of him chose him. He admitted that his method was a little contemptible. And when he was fully prepared, he gave Zhu Zhuqing two choices. In fact, no matter what Zhu Zhuqing chooses, he will not lose money, and once Zhu Zhuqing chooses the second one, he will win the girl's heart. From now on, there will be a girl who will accompany him, no matter in good times or bad times. She will never leave him forever. After traveling to Douluo Continent and being bullied by eunuchs, Dai Yao swore that he would never be an honest person again in this life, and that his style would be to achieve his goals by any means necessary. It's nothing to lie to a girl's body and mind. He took Zhu Zhuqing's hand, went outside the house, jumped lightly, and sat on the roof. There was no cloud in the sky, and a full moon hung high. The breeze was blowing, and it was a little cold, but to the soul master, it was nothing. Dai Yao wiped off the snow on the roof for Zhu Zhuqing, found a clean cloth to put it on, and then asked Zhu Zhuqing to sit down. He explained to Zhu Zhuqing, "Actually, the queen will not give you freedom at all." "Why?" Zhu Zhuqing was a little surprised. "After all, I am the fourth prince. The consequences of killing the first prince are too serious, so the queen is also a bit wary and dare not attack me directly. But you are different. You have just made an engagement with me. In name, you are my princess. If you kill me, it can be explained as a conflict between husband and wife. It can be said that you resisted the engagement, and the queen got away from this matter." Dai Yao sneered. "And you are the one who is really responsible for killing the crown prince. Killing the crown prince must be a capital crime. What else can you do but pay for your life?" Zhu Zhuqing's red lips parted slightly, his eyes were full of disbelief. Only then did she know that the queen asked her to do so many things. After all, she is only a 6-year-old girl. Although she is a bit precocious, she is still too immature for people like the queen. But in fact, these words were made up by Dai Yao in order to throw dirty water on the queen, alienate the relationship between Zhu Zhuqing and the queen, and make Zhu Zhuqing get closer to him. "And queen wants to harm me? Not bad." Dai Yao was ecstatic when he heard this. He knew that Zhu Zhuqing had begun to believe him. But he continued to pretend to have a serious face, as if he felt the same as Zhu Zhuqing, and continued to throw dirty water on the queen. "You are actually a tool for her to use. As long as she completes her purpose, she will deal with you next." Zhu Zhuqing was frightened for a while, and said happily, "Thanks to you, otherwise I would have been deceived by the queen's aunt." Then she looked at Dai Yao with some embarrassment, lowered her head, and said shyly, "I wanted to kill you before, so I'm so sorry." Dai Yao stood up and said righteously, "Hey, what are you talking about? You are also in the dark. It's not your fault." Zhu Zhuqing looked at Dai Yao's pretentious appearance under the moonlight, burst out laughing, and hurriedly covered it with his hands. Dai Yao chuckled and said, "After all, we have a marriage contract. Even if we are a real husband and wife, there will be conflicts, let alone the two of us who have just met. Now let me introduce you formally. My name is Dai Yao. I am 6 years old now. Zhu Zhuqing is also 6 years old. Then you call me brother. It is a pleasure to have a girl calling you brother behind you. Moreover, he was already in his 20s in his previous life, and it was really hard to call a 6-year-old girl sister. Ah, we are obviously the same age, why should I call you brother? Zhu Zhuqing was a little reluctant. Because I'm older than you. Dai Yao started to make things up again. Actually, my birthday is a few days earlier than what is recorded in the family, so logically speaking, I am older than you. Is that so? Zhu Zhuqing didn't believe it. It's settled, you will call me brother from now on, and I will call you sister or Zhuqing. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing raised his mouth slightly and agreed reluctantly. A gust of wind blew by, carrying some snow, and the cold air went straight into their lungs, but the two of them didn't feel cold at all. Dai Yao's eyes gradually softened, and he fixed Zhu Zhuqing's hair that was blown by the wind. He thought of his past life experience and said to Zhu Zhuqing with some emotion, I am not as handsome as Dai Mubai, and I can't give you a good life. My personality is also a little unreasonable. But what he said next was extremely firm and resounding, but I will try my best to be your support. If you are in danger, I will stand in front of you. If someone wants to hurt you, he must step on my body first. Zhu Zhuqing stared blankly at the man speaking in front of him, feeling a turmoil in his heart. In the original work, why she has a cold personality is not only because Dai Mubai abandoned him in the cruel competition for the throne, but also because of the environment in which she grew up. If the Dai family doesn't have family ties, does the Zhu family have it? The Zhu family is also full of intrigues. She has never felt any family affection since she was a child, and her sisters have always bullied her. The mother's greatest concern was always Zhu Zhuyun, the eldest prince's wife and the sister who had the best chance of inheriting the position of queen. Zhu Zhuqing, who grew up in this environment, had to protect himself with a cold appearance. Looking at Dai Yao, who made a solemn promise under the moonlight, Zhu Zhuqing shed tears unconsciously. What's wrong with you? Zhu Zhuqing cried for no reason. Dai Yao thought he had done something wrong and said in a hurry. It's nothing. Although there were still tears, Zhu Zhuqing smiled happily, without feeling cold at all. At the same time, she also promised in her heart, I will not let you down either. What a headache, call me a single guy writing this stuff. Chapter 22 Star Luo Royal Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the moonlight, two small figures gradually approached. Zhu Zhuqing's head gradually rested on Dai Yao's shoulder. The moonlight was beautiful and the wind was gentle. Looking at the pretty face so close and smelling the faint fragrance of hair, Dai Yao felt a sense of peace in his heart. At this moment, I even want to stop forever. Time passed in a hurry, and the night was getting late. The two came down from the roof and returned to the house. Dai Yao looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, the competition for the throne is extremely bloody, and the loser has no right to live. Although we are young, there is a big gap between us and Dai Yaming and Davis in terms of soul power. But I believe that as long as we work tirelessly, there will be hope. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing's originally hesitant face suddenly became determined, and he whispered back, yes. After saying that, the two sat down cross-legged and entered the state of cultivation. After a while, Zhu Zhuqing opened his eyes, his cold face full of surprise. How come, my cultivation speed has become faster? I wasn't like this when I was at home. Is it because of Dai Yao? She turned to look at Dai Yao, a little doubtful. Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Zhu Zhuqing continued to practice. A few days passed, and Dai Yao and the two cherished their time like gold. Apart from eating and sleeping, they practiced day and night without stopping. Of course, the two slept separately. The soul power of both of them is growing steadily. Zhu Zhuqing's soul power has almost reached the 10th level, and he will be able to obtain the first soul ring in a short time. Practicing beside Dai Yao, her cultivation speed increased a lot, shortening the time from more than a month to dozens of days. Every time after training, Zhu Zhuqing would look at Dai Yao in disbelief. I wonder what kind of magic power he has that can increase his cultivation speed. Of course, she won't tell anyone else this secret. Speeding up their cultivation is inherently good for them. Their chances of winning the throne competition will be much higher, so naturally they won't tell others. Dai Yao, on the other hand, was much more distressed. The soul power in his dantian was condensed into a liquid state by Qinglian, which required much more soul power than others at the same level. But fortunately Qinglian has the ability to speed up his practice, otherwise he would really be depressed to death. His soul power is gradually approaching the 12th level mark. Finally, there was a knock on the door of Ling Palace. 2 silk letters were presented to Dai Yao and others by the palace maid. When he opened the silk book, he saw that it was an invitation letter for admission to Xingluo Royal Academy. On the invitation, there were pictures of towering mountains and an ancient castle standing on the mountainside. The walls of the castle are mottled, and a feeling of passage of time comes over you. After dismissing the court lady, he woke up Zhu Zhuqing, who was still practicing, and handed her the admission invitation letter. Get ready, and leave for Xingluo Royal Academy. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and nodded. The next day at dusk, the carriage stopped, and the guard turned around and said to the carriage, "Your Highness, the academy has arrived." The car curtain opened and a child came out. It was Dai Yao. Xingluo Royal Academy is nearly 100 kilometers away from the palace. The strength of a college is reflected in its faculty on the one hand, and its mimetic environment on the other. Mimicry refers to simulating the most suitable environment for martial soul cultivation. For example, the most suitable environment for the fire phoenix is a volcano, and the most suitable environment for fish martial souls is rivers, lakes, and oceans. The more mimetic environments there are, the larger the space required, so the Royal Academy is built 100 miles away from the imperial city. It's so beautiful. Zhu Zhuqing sighed as he just poked his head out of the car. It was dusk at this time, and the afterglow of the setting sun gave the mountains a layer of orange-red gold. The tranquil lake, several large mountains in the distance, and the ancient castle on the mountainside give people a feeling of paradise. Dai Yao felt a little excited when he thought that he would study here in the future. Following the waiter's guidance, Dai Yao and the two came to a forest of buildings. The waiter explained, "This is the place where soul masters study. It is divided into teaching area and dormitory area. For practicing, everyone will choose a suitable place among the mountains and lakes behind them." While Dai Yao was looking forward to the future, a cold voice came from the front. "Are you the 4th prince? That this person has a long and thin face, big eyes, and small mouth, like a mouse." Dai Yao remained calm and asked, "Who are you?" Snort. The man snorted coldly, and then his soul power surged, and a powerful aura emerged. After being possessed by the martial spirit, the whole person looked like a big mouse, with 2 yellow spirit rings covering his body. The second ring, Soul Master. Dai Yao's heart was filled with excitement. Strong pressure enveloped him, and the soul power in his body couldn't function normally. What a strong pressure! Is this the great Soul Master? Before the fight, just releasing the coercion of the martial soul, he already knew that in front of the great Soul Master, he had no room to fight back. Hearing a strange scream, the first of the 2 soul rings of the great Soul Master lit up, and the whole person burrowed into the ground, looking for Dai Yao's location underground. Dai Yao could feel a cold breath flowing underground, and the killing intent revealed from time to time made his back sweat. What should I do? Dai Yao asked himself, but couldn't find any solution. Looking back, Zhu Zhuqing was also looking at him worriedly. The panic in his heart disappeared without a trace in an instant. Even if he was sure to lose, he decided to have a touch with this great soul master. He first protected Zhu Zhuqing behind him, then gritted his teeth and channeled the soul power in his dantian. Just as he was about to possess the martial soul, a hand stopped his movements. "Leave it to me." A powerful voice came. Dai Yao looked back and saw that this man was fat and had a face like a cattail leaf fan. The man said arrogantly, "You damn rat, just let me come and meet you." Immediately afterwards, his size increased again, his nose elongated, like a mammoth, and there were also 2 yellow soul rings. Second soul skill, or trample. The man stepped violently with 1 foot, and the ground suddenly shook. The dust raised formed a gray-brown ring and spread in all directions. The ground suddenly sank, and the mouse came out of the hole, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He was extremely embarrassed by this move. He looked at the person who helped Dai Yao fiercely, and said viciously, "What a fat man, how dare you take care of the eldest prince's affairs? Aren't you afraid of getting yourself into trouble?" The fat man chuckled, "If the eldest prince comes in person, I will naturally stay away. If he wants to beat the fourth prince, I will help him kick him a few times. Then his expression turned extremely gloomy, but the eldest prince didn't come. You're the only one here. If you're afraid of being beaten by me, get out of here. That the mouse's lips trembled and his eyes stared at the fat man, as if he wanted to imprint him in his mind. Finally, he looked at Dai Yao and said in a cold tone, "You brat, I admit defeat today. The eldest prince asked me to bring you a message. Enjoy your time in the academy. Please vote for recommendations, please continue to read, thank you. Chun Feng here." Chapter 23 The Second Prince. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Yao felt heavy in his heart. The feeling of relaxation that had just arisen after winning the duel disappeared without a trace in an instant. If others hadn't helped him just now, he would not have been able to escape, and Zhu Zhuqing would have been bullied because of it. As soon as he entered the academy, he was bullied by the eldest prince's subordinate mouse. His reputation was bound to be tarnished and he became a laughing stock. Dai Yao felt as if a huge stone was pressing on his chest and he couldn't breathe. The desire for strength welled up in my heart. Strength. Everything is because of insufficient strength. If I am strong enough, how dare the rat bully me wantonly? That he made up his mind to seize the time and improve his strength as soon as possible so that he could protect himself and Zhuqing. He suppressed the surging emotions in his heart and said gratefully to the fat man who helped him, "Thank you for your help, brother, but I don't know what to call it." "Hey, it's okay. You can just call me Fatty. I've wanted to beat this rat up for a long time, but I never had a reason. Today is my chance." Fatty laughed heartily, but then, he stretched out a hand as an invitation and said, "Today someone knows that the rat will be harmful to you, and specifically asked me to protect you here." "Who is protecting me?" Dai Yao was a little confused. Except for his third uncle Dai Hengyu, he had no acquaintances in Xingluo Royal Academy. Who would help him? "It's the second prince. The second prince specifically asked me to invite you to meet him." The fat man said cheerfully, but there was a hint of refusal in his tone. "The second prince, Dai Yaming, is both a prince. Aren't he and I in a competitive relationship? What was his purpose in inviting me over?" Dai Yao thought for a moment and couldn't figure out why the second prince invited him. This is an academy, and Dai Yao is not afraid that Dai Yaming will be unfavorable to him. Taking Zhu Zhuqing with them, the two followed the fat man, walked several kilometers and entered a large mountain, continuously moving forward along the winding mountain road. After a long time, after passing the last bend, the eyes suddenly opened up. There is a huge lake in front of you. Next to the lake, stands an exquisite castle, with 5 steps to the first floor, 10 steps to the pavilion, pavilions and pavilions, waterfalls and smoke, all embracing the terrain, intrigues. It is really a view at every step, a collection of essences. Place. After reporting to the guards outside the door, bypassing the twists and turns of the corridor, I finally saw a figure from behind in a pavilion near the water. The breeze blew across the lake, his clothes were flying, and the blonde hair on his back was as dazzling as the sun. He turned around and put down the teacup in his hand, with a faint smile on his lips, and his eyes were so deep that people couldn't figure out what he was thinking. A feeling of having a pearl of wisdom and everything in hand comes over me. The first time he saw this man, Dai Yao felt that he was very extraordinary. "Fourth brother," Dai Yaming said with a chuckle. In the Dai family, Dai Yao was still a little unfamiliar with hearing such a friendly address, so he also replied, "Second brother. Thank you, second brother, for your help. If it weren't for your help, I really wouldn't be able to get off the stage." Dai Yao bowed his hands and said gratefully, although the two are in a competitive relationship, since others have helped him, he has to be grateful. It doesn't have to be this way. The eldest prince is our common enemy. He bullies you, so I can't stand by and watch. Dai Yaming pulled Dai Yao to the same front with him in one sentence. "I've heard about the duel a long time ago. I didn't expect you to defeat Dai Mubai. It's true that heroes come from young. Each generation is better than the next." Dai Yaming looked at Dai Yao with some emotion. He also wanted to be like Dai Yao. Beating the older Davis. It's really ridiculous. After a brief greeting, Dai Yao asked Dai Yaming the purpose of inviting him. second brother invited me here today. I wonder why. Dai Yaming laughed, turned around, and looked at the sparkling lake, leaving Dai Yao with a back view. I invited you here to form an alliance with you and deal with the eldest prince together. Before the duel, in the Star Luo Royal Academy, Davis and Dai Mubai were both sons of the queen. They joined forces and he was overwhelmed. Now that Dai Mubai was defeated, he had become the laughingstock of the Star Luo Royal Academy. He no longer had the heart to fight with him. Now he only had to deal with Davis alone, but Davis is a soul master after all, and the most promising person to inherit the throne. Around him, he has gathered a large number of noble children and civilian geniuses, and beside Dai Yaming, there is only one fat man who can be of great use. The power gap between the two was huge, so he desperately looked for an ally. Dai Yao already had a blood feud with the eldest prince. Moreover, he had just defeated Dai Mubai and his strength was acceptable. He was the perfect choice for his ally, but he was also a little worried. After all, Dai Yao's outstanding talent might threaten his status, but it was impossible to think about it. There was a 6-year age difference between him and Dai Yao. He was already a 25th level soul master. How could someone who had just obtained a soul ring threaten him? I wonder what you think. Dai Yaming said with a smile. He and Davis had similar soul power levels, but what they lacked was time. Under Davis's pressure, he didn't have enough time to practice. As long as Dai Yao can attract Davis's attention for him, he can practice with peace of mind and have the possibility of catching up with Davis. Dai Yao had the same idea in his mind. Before coming to Star Luo Royal Academy, third uncle had already analyzed his situation. He would inevitably be endlessly harassed and suppressed by Davis, making it impossible for him to practice. If you feel sleepy now, give me a pillow. With Dai Yaming standing in front and attracting firepower, he could concentrate on practicing. Forging an alliance with your second brother is what you want. The two chatted happily, and there was a peaceful atmosphere in the pavilion. At this moment, a discordant sound came. Hey, where did you come from, so poor? Are you here to beg for food? That the voice was lazy and weak, but mixed with endless charm, making people's hearts ripple. Dai Yao looked back and saw a woman standing against the wall. She was wearing a black tight-fitting outfit that was very charming. She covered her mouth with a folding fan and smiled softly. Seeing this woman, Zhu Zhuqing's delicate body trembled slightly, her eyes showed fear. She pulled Dai Yao's arm and hid behind him. If you see what I'm hiding from, I won't eat you. The woman came to Dai Yao's side, put away the folding fan in her hand, and looked at Zhu Zhuqing behind her with evil intentions. Sister, sister. Zhu Zhuqing's voice was trembling. It was Dai Yaming's fiancée, the second young lady of the Zhu family, Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing was bullied by several sisters since he was a child. Zhu Zhuqing smiled with a knife hidden behind his face. He was gentle on the surface but sinister in his heart. Zhu Zhuqing, on the other hand, is unruly and willful, acting wantonly. Especially after Zhu Zhuqing's martial spirit awakened, the two of them even intensified their bullying of her. Chapter 24 Debasement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is this? Dai Yao asked. Zhu Zhuqing, you are my fiancé. Dai Yaming stretched out his hand to hold the girl's waist, looking proud. Zhu Zhuqing chuckled with disdain, looked Dai Yao up and down, and then said, he is a member of the royal family after all, but why is there such a sense of poverty and sourness in his every move? Dai Yao had just awakened his martial spirit. He had been imprisoned in the cold palace until he was 6 years old. He had no royal etiquette training and was an ordinary person in his previous life. His words and deeds were naturally very different from those of a true aristocrat, but it will never be as unbearable as Zhu Zhuqing said. This sentence didn't sound good. Dai Yao didn't know whether it was because this woman had a straightforward personality, or because she was contemptuous and looked down on them, so, he put a smile on his face again and praised Dai Yaming. Second brother is so lucky to have such a beautiful wife. Dai Yao said the compliment because he wanted to leave a good influence on Zhu Zhuqing, so as not to be sarcastic. After all, they had just prepared to form an alliance with Dai Yaming, and Zhu Zhuqing was also Zhu Zhuqing's sister. It was really a small gain to ruin the alliance plan just because of a little talk. Would it be your turn to praise me for my beauty? Zhu Zhuqing's delicate face was full of defiance. She looked at Dai Yao and Dai Yao condescendingly, then waved her hands in disgust, as if she smelled something bad, and said to Dai Yaming. A poor man is a poor man. He remains silent even after being despised. He is really a coward. My dear sister, your fiancé is not very good. There are so many good men in the world, how can they hang themselves from a tree? Don't worry, if you want to find a man, my sister will definitely introduce it to you. Anyway, your green-haired turtle husband won't say anything. Dai Yao stared at Zhu Zhuqing with blank eyes, never expecting that she could say such vicious words. Then he clenched his fists tightly, looked at Dai Yaming with a heavy face, and asked sternly. Won't the second prince give you an explanation? That at this time, he no longer addressed him as second brother, but as second prince. He was extremely angry in his heart. Zhu Zhuqing's words not only insulted his personality, but also insulted Zhu Zhuqing. It's just that Zhu Zhuqing is Dai Yaming's fiancé after all, so he can't just scold her back. Fourth brother, it's just a joke made by your sister-in-law. Be more generous. Dai Yaming said with a smile, not caring about it at all. Zhu Zhuqing's delicate body behind him trembled slightly, as if he had heard something terrible. Dai Yao patted her trembling hand with a cold expression. He glanced at Zhu Zhuqing, then fixed his eyes on Dai Yaming, and said sarcastically. Allowing her to insult her allies and directly attack her personally, is this the second prince's attitude towards forming an alliance? Zhu Zhuqing leaned on Dai Yaming's shoulder and mocked unscrupulously. You, an 11th level soul master, want to form an alliance with Yaming. You really don't know how high the sky is. Dai Yaming smiled and said gently, your sister-in-law has a bit of a playful temper, so don't take it to heart. But what you mean is that you don't want to form an alliance with me. The fat man standing on the side also intervened and warned Dai Yao sternly, His Highness thinks highly of you, so he seeks an alliance with you. Don't be ungrateful. Seeing the second prince's aggressive attitude, the anger in his heart burned brightly. The second prince and the others clearly looked down on him, but Zhu Zhuqing acted more directly. If Dai Yao still accepted the second prince's alliance with a smile on his face at this time, he would have completely lost his dignity. Dai Yao has already been slapped in the face, should he bring his face closer and let them slap him a second time? In the final analysis, the reason why the second prince could force Dai Yao unscrupulously was because Dai Yao was not strong enough and posed no threat to them at all. What a second prince, he is so majestic. Dai Yao was so angry that his mouth trembled. Yo, I've hit the sore spot in my heart. I'm going to get angry. I'm so scared. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and leaned into Dai Yaming's arms, with a bit of frivolity in her tone. Zhu Zhuqing tugged on Dai Yao's sleeves and signaled him to leave here quickly. The second prince and the others are both great soul masters, and Dai Yao and the others have no chance of winning. The second prince sighed lightly. He had never taken Dai Yao seriously from the beginning. He just wanted to trick Dai Yao into attracting Davis's attention for him and diverting firepower. Unexpectedly, Zhu Zhuqing ruined it. Zhu Zhuqing was bullied by Zhu Zhuqing since she was a child, so she bullied Zhu Zhuqing even harder. Verbal insults and abuse of legs and feet were all commonplace. The second prince had planned everything and told Zhu Zhuqing to hold back his temper and stay calm when planning cooperation. Unexpectedly, when he saw Zhu Zhuqing, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but expose his true nature and disrupted the alliance's plan. At this point, it was obvious that Dai Yao would not form an alliance with him. On one side is Dai Yao, who is worthless and his opponent, and on the other side is his fiancée. Dai Yaming knows which side he is on without even thinking about it. In that case, they are at your disposal. Dai Yaming said to Zhu Zhuqing, he didn't plan to take action against Dai Yao. One was an 11th level soul master, and the other didn't have a 1st level soul ring. If he took action, it would be really embarrassing if word spread. Zhu Zhuqing sprang out of Dai Yaming's arms, her soul power surged, and her martial spirit instantly possessed her. She was like a cat, black with elegance, and her black tights outlined her amazing curves. The 2 yellow soul rings shone with a soul-stirring light. Dai Yao stared at the 2 soul rings. Under the pressure of more than 10 levels of soul power, even the soul power could not function normally. He knew that he was no match for Zhu Zhuqing. But with Zhu Zhuqing behind him, his heart suddenly sank. This was the second prince's home court, and he had no chance of escaping. He spat out a few words through his teeth. I hope you won't regret today's decision in the future. Regret? Who do you think you are? Zhu Zhuqing didn't take Dai Yao seriously. In her heart, Dai Yao were just toys for her to express her inner pain. In Star Luo Royal Academy, as the fiancée of the second prince, she was also suppressed by the power of the first prince. He was full of grievances and couldn't express it. Now that Zhu Zhuqing came to the academy, he could just release the grievances in his heart. Dai Yaming also knew the distress in his future wife's heart. Since the alliance with Dai Yao failed, let Zhu Zhuqing vent them. Looking at the 2 toys in front of her, Zhu Zhuqing raised the corners of her mouth, stretched out her claw-like hands, and the first soul ring flickered. The first soul skill, Netherworld Thrust, about a few meters of distance flashed by, and a black shadow appeared in front of Dai Yao, followed by a pair of sharp claws shining with black light, exuding the aura of death. Even if he is not his opponent, Dai Yao must fight against him. Baji collapse, but there was no impact sound as expected. Huge smoke and dust covered the figures of the 2, and Dai Yao felt that his hand was being grabbed. Noticing the strangeness in the field, Dai Yaming narrowed his eyes. Chapter 25 Third Uncle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The smoke gradually dispersed, and a figure appeared in the middle of the battle. He held Dai Yao's fist in one hand and blocked Zhu Zhuqing's sharp claws with the other. Zhu Zhuqing hurriedly put away her hands and backed away quickly. Third uncle. Dai Yao said in surprise, this is Dai Yao's third uncle Dai Hengyu. He is the vice president of Xingluo Royal Academy. After hearing that Dai Yao was taken away by the second prince's people, he rushed over without stopping. Fortunately, he was not late. I'll take Dai Yao away. Your Highness, don't you have any objections? Dai Hengyu put down Dai Yao's fist, turned around and stared at Dai Hengyu, smiling. Although he wanted to help Dai Yao, after all, this was a fight between 2 princes, which was allowed under the rules of competition for the throne. If he wantonly breaks the family rules, even if he is the prince of Xingluo, he will not be able to avoid punishment. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for His Royal Highness to wantonly trample on the rules of competition for the throne. Dai Hengyu had no intention of letting Dai Yao go. Dai Yao's first day of school. There are many things to deal with. As a relative of Dai Yao, it's not too much for me to help, right? Dai Hengyu said with a smile without any anger. Dai Hengyu used the rules of competition for the throne to suppress him, so he used his status as a relative to fight back. Now Dai Hengyu can no longer find an excuse to drive him away. Let's go. Dai Hengyu waved his hand and was about to let Dai Yao leave. He knew that Dai Hengyu was determined to protect Dai Yao, and he had no chance to attack Dai Yao. Zhu Zhuqing, who was beside him, leaned close to his ear and asked softly, Yaming, just let them go like this. Sister Zhu Qing and I haven't seen each other for a long time. Haven't we had enough fun yet? Don't worry, Dai Hengyu can't be by Dai Yao's side all the time. There is always a chance. Seeing Dai Hengyu's arrival, Dai Yao breathed a sigh of relief. Otherwise it would be a problem whether he and Zhu Zhuqing could leave the courtyard safely. At this time, Dai Yao had calmed down, and he had realized the importance of insufficient strength. Because he was not strong enough, he was almost insulted by the eldest prince at the gate of the academy, and now he was bullied wantonly by the second prince and others. He clenched his fists, looked at Dai Yaming and Dai Yaming coldly, and said, I just said, I hope you won't regret what you did today. Zhu Zhuqing smiled softly and did not take Dai Yao's harsh words to heart, while Dai Yaming narrowed his eyes and took note of Dai Yao's words. He and I are already on the same level. Although he is not my opponent now, I can't give him a chance to grow. Dai Yaming has a tolerant character. He has been bullied by Davis all year round. He understands the mentality of the bullied. When one day he can beat Davis, he will definitely punish what Davis has done to him over the years. Pain, pay back double. Dai Yao must have thought the same way. We cannot let him practice smoothly. Dai Yaming made up his mind. On the way back, Dai Hengyu walked in the front, and Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing walked in the rear. Dai Yao walked up to Dai Hengyu, looked up at him, and said gratefully, "Thank you, third uncle. If it weren't for third uncle's help, I probably wouldn't have been able to get out of Dai Yaming's mansion safely today. Hey, it's my fault too." Dai Hengyu looked sad and blamed himself. Dai Yao's mother entrusted Dai Yao to him, but he failed to protect Dai Yao when he was in the cold palace. This time when we arrived at the Royal Academy, something almost happened. If the cold palace is the queen's territory, he is beyond his reach and cannot take care of Dai Yao, which is understandable. But the Royal Academy was his territory, and something almost happened. "Yao, although I am the vice president of the Royal Academy, I can't make the decision on everything. The eldest prince and the second prince both have strong backgrounds, so I have too many worries. Besides, the eldest prince and the second prince want to attack you, which is allowed by the rules of competition for the throne. I was originally worried that you would be proud and complacent after defeating Dai Mubai. Today you should have realized the gap between you and them. When you are weak, you need to be patient. Don't put yourself in a dangerous situation because of some disputes of will. If they provoke you, try to avoid them. What you have to do now is to concentrate on training and increase your strength." Dai Hengyu touched Dai Yao's head and analyzed his current situation and the way forward for the future. Dai Yao was moved by third uncle's heartfelt words. "Thank you, third uncle, I will definitely keep it in my heart." "Okay, having said that much, comfort your little girlfriend." Dai Hengyu's tone became naughty. He raised his eyebrows, glanced in Zhu Zhuqing's direction, and teased Dai Yao. This made Dai Yao blush. He originally wanted to retort a few words, but when he saw Zhu Zhuqing's profile under the sunset, he felt a surge of courage in his heart and said confidently, "It's not my girlfriend, I'm my fiancé." Hearing these words, Zhu Zhuqing, who was a little uneasy after the encounter, flashed a smile on his cold face, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. She lowered her head and couldn't see the expression on her face clearly, but her face was flushed. She didn't know whether it was the blush or the setting sun. Dai Hengyu was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. The laughter startled countless mountain birds in the forest. "What a boy! You really have the style of my Dai family." As the fourth prince of Xingluo, and with the help of Dai Hengyu, many trivial matters for admission were quickly completed without any obstacles. My height and weight were measured and I received new school uniforms. Dai Hengyu put a purple gold card in Dai Yao's hand and said, "This is the permission card for my school cafeteria. Whenever you are hungry, you can order food, and it's free. I have someone responsible for food every day. This card has been unused, so I can give it to you." "Thank you, uncle. One last thing, you need to choose your own mimetic training environment. The mimetic environment will be helpful to your cultivation, so you must choose carefully." Dai Hengyu warned. After saying that, he left. After all, he is the vice president and has many things to deal with, so it is impossible to stay with Dai Yao all the time. After Dai Hengyu left, he asked a student to be responsible for Dai Yao's selection of the mimetic environment. "Does the Fourth Highness have a favorite mimetic environment?" The student was about 14 or 15 years old, much taller than Dai Yao. He bent over, lowered his head, and spoke kindly. In the original work, the reason why the master merged Shrek Academy into Tiando Royal Academy was not only because after the merger, he would be eligible to participate in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament, but also because of the hardware facilities owned by Tiando Royal Academy. One of the most important points is the mimetic training environment. After knowing that he was about to study at Xingluo Royal Academy, Dai Yao had carefully thought about what kind of mimetic environment he needed to choose. And today's two encounters of being unable to struggle further confirmed his thoughts, so he asked the student, "Just one chapter today, there was a party at the company yesterday and I didn't have time to write." "Sorry, I just finished writing a chapter." Chapter 26. The four big ones cannot be messed with. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Are there any places with waterfalls in the mimetic environment? The male student was startled at first. He didn't know why Dai Yao chose a place with a waterfall. From his understanding, places with waterfalls were generally visited by aristocratic children for viewing purposes. Does the fourth prince want to have a waterfall to watch? He secretly criticized the shortcomings of these nobles, but he did not show it with his mouth. After checking the information, he said flatteringly. Reporting to the fourth prince, all the places with waterfalls are currently occupied by some nobles. Only one of them is owned by a commoner. The waterfall is the training ground for the protagonists in many novels. In the original work, when Tang San was practicing the cloak hammering technique, Tang Hao specially found a place with a waterfall to practice. Dai Yao wanted a mimetic environment with a waterfall. He did not deliberately find the same environment because many novel protagonists practice under waterfalls. After carefully considering his current shortcomings, he concluded that the waterfall was the most suitable place for him to practice, whether it was with Dai Mubai or the two unexpected encounters today, in the duel with these soul masters whose soul power was far higher than his. These people could suppress him with their soul power far higher than his, but he had no chance of fighting. Back room, and the continuous waterfall that never stops day and night can be used as the pressure released by these soul masters. As long as he adapts to the continuous pressure of the waterfall, he can display his normal strength in the duel between senior soul masters. Moreover, the sacred white tiger martial spirit is the king of the forest. Generally speaking, the waterfall is the water source of the forest, which is also suitable for Dai Yao's own cultivation. In addition, the waterfall can not only exercise his ability to adapt to pressure, but also exercise his soul power. When resisting the endless water falling from above, the soul power will naturally grow as it is continuously exhausted and practiced. Dai Yao had a headache when he heard what the male student said. In the Star Luo Royal Academy, most of the nobles surround the eldest prince and the second prince. Although his talent is visible to the naked eye, the age gap is too big, so no nobles are willing to support him. If these aristocratic children knew that he wanted a mimic environment with a waterfall, they would probably not only not give it to him, but would also constantly make things difficult for him. This is how to do. These nobles will not give me the mimetic environment. The only one with hope is the commoner. Although it is not good to steal someone else's mimetic training environment, but now, without this mimetic environment, I will definitely die. I must get him. Dai Yao was determined in his heart, no matter what the cost, he would get this mimic environment. He turned his head and asked the male student, I wonder if I can buy this mimic environment directly. That he would first see if he could buy this place. If he could succeed, that would be the best. I'm afraid this won't work, because many nobles want to buy this place, but the original owner has never agreed. The male student explained, in Xingluo Academy, the mimetic environment is generally assigned to the master and will always belong to that person unless he or she graduates. Of course, if you are willing to sell, you can't blame others for the slowdown in your cultivation speed without the mimetic environment. Dai Yao wanted to buy the place, but the owner had a weird temper. The nobles offered a very high price, but that person never agreed to sell it. Some people were extremely angry and even wanted to use tactics to deal with her. Your Highness, there is some dispute here. Many nobles want this land, but the owner is unwilling to sell it, so there is a stalemate. The male student explained. However, Dai Yao did not change his mind. Now, there was only one environment left that was suitable for him, and he had to win this place. You don't need to persuade me, just take me there. I will discuss it with the master to see if there is any accommodation. Hearing that Dai Yao was determined not to change, the male student secretly scolded Dai Yao for being ignorant, but he didn't show it on his face. He complimented him a few times and walked ahead to lead the way. Dai Yao naturally knew what the male student was thinking. After living in the cold palace for 6 years, everyone showed contempt for him in some way or another. He was so familiar with this kind of inadvertent display of malice. But that's it, he didn't say anything, and followed the male student with Zhu Zhuqing. The night is getting darker and a waning moon rises. Stepping on the snow in the forest, the three of them walked on the path. Dai Yao asked some things about the college. Although the male student didn't think highly of Dai Yao, he still answered carefully. After all, he was working under Dai Hengyu. Maybe just one word from Dai Yao could change his destiny. In our Royal Academy, there are 4 people who cannot be messed with. The first two are naturally the two princes, the eldest Prince Davis and the second Prince Dai Yaming. Most of the nobles in the empire support the two princes. As for the third Prince Dai Mubai, he has become a joke now. Originally, he was still practicing unremittingly. Some nobles wanted to speculate, so they supported him. But not long ago, I heard that he was going to sign a marriage contract, so I went back to the palace. I don't know why, but he started to give up on himself after he came back, which made the nobles who supported him very angry. The male student vividly described the nobles beating their chests and stamping their feet, as if he saw the nobles criticizing Dai Mubai with his own eyes. It turned out that the duel that took place in the palace was not reported, and many people in the academy did not know about the duel in the palace. Dai Yao thought secretly. The male student continued, the eldest Prince Davis has just entered the Soul Master realm not long ago. Although the second prince has been suppressed by the eldest prince, he has not been defeated at all. The reason is that he has a soul bone. Soul bone. Dai Yao screamed in surprise, and a strange color flashed across Zhu Zhuqing's cold face. Yes, it is said that the second prince possesses a soul bone that is thousands of years old. With his 25th level soul power, he can compete with the 29th level Great Soul Master. It is precisely because of this soul bone. The male student seemed to show off. He was talking about what he had learned in the academy. Dai Yao was also surprised. Soul bones are the most coveted treasure of soul masters in Douluo Continent. In the original work, the final reward of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition is 3 soul bones, which are extremely precious. Although in the later stage, the soul bones of the Shrek 7 monsters were ruined, but to other soul masters, they were still treasures they had never seen before. Dai Yaming has a soul bone, which is really not good news for Dai Yao. In the competition for the throne, he will face Dai Yaming directly. The stronger Dai Yaming is, the more disadvantageous it will be to him. Hey, what a bad news. Dai Yao thought bitterly. The three of them were walking and talking, and before they had time to tell the other two not to mess with each other, they had already reached their destination before they knew it. We've arrived, Your Highness, Fourth Prince. The male student said. Chapter 27 Heavenly Chasm. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. What you can see are 2 pools of water, one big and one small are not connected. Beside the pool, there is an endless forest, which is deep and deep. The water in the smaller pool was steaming. It was a hot spring, and there was a thatched hut beside the pool, and above the large pool, a white horse flew down and fell into the pool, making a rumbling sound. Where the waterfall fell into the pool, there happened to be a huge boulder, which had been beaten by the flying waterfall over time and became extremely smooth. Good place. Dai Yao thought in his mind that the huge stone was a perfect place for practice. He pointed to the hut next to the smaller pool and asked the students, does the owner live there? Yes, Your Highness Fourth Prince. The owner here is called Feng Wudong. He has a weird personality. Please be careful. The student warned. Along the shore path, the three of them came to the thatched house. The thatched house is very simple, simply built with wooden boards and thatch. What is strange is that the ground next to the thatched house is red and black, as if it has been burned by fire. Dai Yao suppressed the doubts in his heart and knocked on the door. Who is it? A crisp voice came from the room, full of energetic youthful atmosphere. The door opened, and a delicate girl appeared. Her fiery red hair hung down to her waist. She was a little taller than Dai Yao, and her small figure was already in bloom. It was conceivable that she would be an eye-catching woman in the future. However, it is still a little worse than Zhu Zhuqing, Dai Yao commented in his heart. It's me, Zhang Xiaofan. I'm here this time to be entrusted by someone to purchase this mimicry training environment. The student said to Feng Wudong. The tone was quite familiar, like an old friend. No way, sell it to those nobles, don't even think about it. I'm not like you, selling myself to those nobles. You don't feel ashamed to serve them every day. Feng Wudong scolded Zhang Xiaofan fiercely without giving Zhang Xiaofan any face. Zhang Xiaofan was a little helpless. He seemed to have expected this situation. He walked to Dai Yao and introduced to Feng Wudong with some pride. Even his tone was a little higher. The person here today is not an ordinary noble, this is the fourth prince of Star Luo. The fourth prince of Xingluo. Feng Wudong glanced at Dai Yao suspiciously, and then said to Zhang Xiaofan angrily, "Who are you fooling? There are only 3 princes in the empire, and the 4th prince came from there. In order to achieve his goal, it's really unscrupulous. I really didn't lie to you, he is really the 4th prince." Zhang Xiaofan explained bitterly. Dai Yao pushed Zhang Xiaofan away, looked at Feng Wudong and said, "Hello, my name is Dai Yao, and I was named the 4th prince of the Star Luo Empire not long ago. Maybe you have been practicing, so it's normal that you don't know." Feng Wudong looked at Dai Yao suspiciously, and Zhang Xiaofan, who was not far away, also nodded, proving that what Dai Yao said was true. She couldn't help but straighten her expression, believed that Dai Yao was the 4th prince, and then said, "Even if you are the 4th prince, I will not sell this training place." After saying that, he was about to close the door. Dai Yao hurriedly held the door and said to Feng Wudong, "Listen to the price I offer. It's not too late for you to refuse." Feng Wudong didn't hesitate at all, and pushed away Dai Yao's hand blocking the door. There was a bang, the door closed, and then a cold voice came. "Don't listen, no matter how high the price you offer, I will refuse it. For you nobles, this place of cultivation is just a place for viewing, but for me, this is the place where I can change my destiny. We will never sell this simulated environment under any circumstances. You go." Feng Wudong refused directly. A door seems to be the boundary between nobles and commoners. Dai Yao felt a little bitter. This place of cultivation was the place where Feng Wudong changed his destiny, so it was not the place where he changed his destiny, it's just that she refuses to sell it anyway, which is really difficult. There are always solutions to problems. Thinking of how familiar Zhang Xiaofan and Feng Wudong were just now, Zhang Xiaofan must know something. Dai Yao looked at Zhang Xiaofan and said coldly, "Why didn't he sell it? You should know the reason. Tell me." Zhang Xiaofan found an open space, swept away the snow, asked Dai Yao to sit down, sighed, and looked a little silent. Along the way, Zhang Xiaofan served Dai Yao wholeheartedly. In Dai Yao's eyes, this was the first time he showed such an expression. At this moment, it seemed that he was the real him. Zhang Xiaofan hesitated for a while and said, "It's a long story. There are deeper reasons why Wudong doesn't sell this land." Taking a wooden stick, Zhang Xiaofan drew a long, deep line on the ground, pointed to the side of the line and said, "In the academy, there are 4 major ones that cannot be messed with. The first 2 are the 2 princes. They represent the nobility. The martial soul is powerful and talented. He is a natural soul master and a natural ruler." Then he pointed the stick the other way. "This side is the civilian force. As civilians who can come to the Royal Academy, they all have talents, but compared with the martial arts passed down by the nobles from generation to generation, they are far from enough. The line on the ground is the chasm that separates the common people and the nobles. However, there is a commoner whose martial spirit is better than that of most nobles. He is one of the top beast martial spirits. Moreover, he is upright and forthright. Any commoner who is bullied by a noble can seek justice from him, and it will naturally become a matter of course. He became the spiritual leader of many civilian soul masters. Under his leadership, many civilians formed the third force. Therefore, he is called the third one not to be messed with. It can be said that the martial spirits of civilians who can come to Xingluo Royal Academy must be mutated. Mutated martial spirits generally have side effects. This is the case for me, and the same is true for Feng Wudong. Feng Wudong has always been tortured by inner fire in her body. Only staying in the hot spring for a long time can relieve the pain. It can be said that this place of cultivation is her life. Hearing these words, Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing fell silent. He knew the gap between classes in Douluo Continent, but hearing this with his own ears still felt heavy. In the original work, Shrek is surprised that only Fatty and Oscar are real civilians. They can become soul masters because of the mutation of their martial souls. Ma Hongjun is a phoenix out of a straw chicken, and he needs a woman to vent his evil fire. Then if you bring me to buy his training ground, aren't you going to kill her? Dai Yao was a little curious. Zhang Xiaofan's eyes were a little complicated, and 2 lines of tears fell down his face. He choked and said, I don't want to, but there is no way. I also want to live. I need money to buy medicinal materials, otherwise the side effects of my martial spirit will kill me. Life. In order to survive, I sold myself to the nobles. I lived in a humble manner and did some despicable things. My common people friends in the past now despise me. Dai Yao was silent and patted Zhang Xiaofan's back. Under the night sky, there were only faint choking sounds. Chapter 2 later. Chapter 28 Showdown. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's a bit difficult to handle. This cultivation environment is not only a conflict between civilians and nobles, but also related to Feng Wudong's life. Seizing this land means taking away Feng Wudong's life, but Dai Yao did not have the spirit of sacrifice to sacrifice himself to save others. If you don't get this mimetic environment, you won't be able to achieve the expected training results, which will lead to the failure of the competition for the throne. When 2 people can only choose to live one life, Dai Yao will choose to live by himself without hesitation. Knock again. The door opened in response, revealing Feng Wudong's figure. Seeing something happen to Dai Yao, Feng Wudong said impatiently, Why is it you again? I said I won't sell it. Seeing that it was about to close again, Dai Yao directly threatened, I will decide this place. Other nobles can't do anything to you in Xingluo Royal Academy, but as the 4th prince of the empire, the academy is completely under the control of the royal family. As long as if you make a mistake, I can find someone to fire you. If you still don't agree, I will find your family. If anything unpleasant happens then, don't regret it. Feng Wudong was filled with anger, her eyes were red, and she stared at Dai Yao, tears welling up in her eyes. Her mouth was murmuring, but she couldn't say a word. In the face of power, she had no room for resistance. Losing the qualification to study in the academy is a more serious matter than losing the mimetic training environment, so Dai Yao immediately took the firewood. Dai Yao's second threat frightened her even more. Dai Yao did not attack her directly, but threatened her with her family. It is really difficult to choose between myself and my family. If you throw away your cultivation land, you will die. If you don't sell your cultivation land, your family will die. If she chooses herself and abandons her family, she will live in pain for the rest of her life. However, she is not willing to choose her family and abandon herself. She smiled sadly, looked at the young Dai Yao, and sighed in her heart that he was worthy of being a noble, but his thoughts were always so vicious. But thinking of Dai Yao's age, an idea flashed in his mind. Dai Yao is a head shorter than him and a few years younger than him. He is only 9 years old this year. So Dai Yao has just awakened his martial soul. Even if he is extremely talented, he has only just obtained a soul ring. Thinking of this, she had an idea in her mind, said to Dai Yao, since we are all soul masters, let's use the soul master's method to solve it. As long as you can defeat me, how about I give you the mimic environment? Dai Yao gradually became excited when he heard that he was about to fight. Since becoming a soul master, he had not fought against any other soul master except for the time he fought against Dai Mubai. Now someone just happened to come to his door, and he wanted it. He also wants to know how strong he is. Dai Mubai is one of the top-notch soul masters among ordinary soul masters. His ability to defeat Dai Mubai had a lot to do with luck, and civilian soul masters like Feng Wudong were the normal level of soul masters. Since the other party has proposed using the soul master's method to determine the ownership of the mimetic environment, no matter how aggressive he is, he will be looked down upon. Although Zhu Zhuqing didn't say anything when Dai Yao threatened Feng Wudong, he clearly felt her disgust. What, are you scared? Feng Wudong raised his voice and said irritatingly to General Dai Yao. Dai Yao smiled softly and replied, in that case, let's do it. Zhang Xiaofan came to Dai Yao's side and whispered worriedly, 4th Prince, Feng Wudong is a 13th level soul master. Your Highness has just obtained the first soul ring. I'm afraid he is no match for you. You can change your mind now. Zhang Xiaofan knew the gap between soul masters, so he was worried that Dai Yao would blame him after the failure. Don't worry, if I fail, it's just because I'm not good at my studies and it has nothing to do with you. Dai Yao comforted Zhang Xiaofan. The two came to the shore of the water pool, which was a large open space, just like the place where the soul masters dueled. Entering the state of duel, Feng Wudong completely lost the aggrieved expression just now. Her fiery red hair fluttered, and she was confident and arrogant. Come on, I just want to see the white tiger martial spirit of the Xingluo royal family. Fighting against strong men is what every soul master dreams of. She had seen the white tiger martial spirit in the Academy's soul master duel, but the princes had noble status, and high soul power levels, so she had no chance to fight with them. Therefore, the battle with Dai Yao is also an opportunity for her to improve herself. Martial soul possession. As soon as she finished speaking, an orange flame rose up from Feng Wudong's body, her long hair burned, and she rose into the sky. Her hands spread out, turned into wings, and grew red feathers. There was also a layer of light down on her beautiful cheeks. She hovered in the air, a light yellow soul ring surrounding her, and she said with high spirits. Feng Wudong, martial soul blazing bird, 13th level battle soul master, please give me your advice. Like Ma Hongjun, her family also has a turkey martial spirit that has been passed down from generation to generation. Her mutated martial spirit is not as powerful as Ma Hongjuan's, and is only an above-average martial spirit. Zhu Zhuqing knew that Dai Yao had once defeated Dai Mubai, whose soul power was as high as level 17. Now he didn't have to worry about dealing with a civilian soul master with an ordinary martial soul. She was not present when Dai Yao defeated Dai Mubai, so she was somewhat looking forward to the next duel. Facing Feng Wudong, whose soul power surpassed his own, Dai Yao was not afraid at all. Martial soul possession. A ray of white light came from Dai Yao's body, a powerful air current suddenly rose, and Feng Wudong and Zhang Xiaofan felt an invisible pressure shrouding their bodies. Is this the white tiger martial spirit? What a powerful sense of oppression. Feng Wudong murmured to himself, it doesn't matter if the martial spirit is powerful, for the sake of the mimicry environment, I must defeat you. Zhang Xiaofan was even more unbearable. His martial spirit was restrained by Dai Yao, and he took 2 steps back with a look of horror on his face. When the white light disappeared, Dai Yao's figure appeared. Dai Yao, martial spirit white tiger, 11th level battle spirit master, please give me some advice. He bowed his hands and returned the greeting to Feng Wudong. He only used the first form of the martial spirit, the ordinary white tiger martial spirit, and did not use the sacred white tiger martial spirit form. He felt that the second form was not needed to deal with Feng Wudong. Hearing Dai Yao's soul power level, Feng Wudong was secretly happy. The gap between the 2 levels of soul power was a huge advantage. As long as she made good use of these 2 levels of soul power, she would definitely win. However, the dark yellow soul ring surrounding Dai Yao made her feel vaguely uneasy. It is rare for a civilian soul master like her to have a century-old soul ring as her first soul ring. Her first soul ring is just over 100 years old, and Dai Yao's dark yellow soul ring may have reached the limit of a first soul ring. You are worthy of being a noble. With help, you can easily obtain a soul ring close to the limit of the life of the soul ring. Feng Wudong thought unwillingly that her first soul ring, which barely exceeded 100 years, had already done her best. With hard work, nobles like Dai Yao can obtain high-quality soul rings without any effort. How unfair. But she didn't know what kind of suffering Dai Yao suffered for the first soul ring. Chapter 29 One Move. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the air, Feng Wudong tested it several times. The more she was tested, the more frightened she became. She dived from the air many times. Not only did she not cause any harm to Dai Yao, but she almost got the chance to be caught by Dai Yao. Looking down from the air, Dai Yao made a defensive posture without any flaws. She gradually became anxious. Dai Yao knew that there was no air superiority. She only defended but did not attack, which did not consume her soul power. On the contrary, she kept hovering in the air, consuming much more soul power than Dai Yao. If this continues, her soul power will bottom out earlier than Dai Yao. Moreover, it was impossible for her to fight Dai Yao on the ground. If she fought hand-to-hand with the white tiger spirit, she would be asking for trouble. Sensing the remaining soul power in her body, Feng Wudong raised her heart, and a loud and clear cry appeared in the air. The yellow soul ring shone, and then, the fire elements in the sky formed a fiery red vortex, converging on Feng Wudong. In the mouth. The first soul skill, blazing line of fire, orange-red flames spurted out from Feng Wudong's mouth, forming a long flame ray and heading straight for Dai Yao. The light of the flames shone in the dark night sky, and Zhang Xiaofan was very worried. He knew very well how powerful Feng Wudong's first soul skill was. Although she was only a 13th level soul master, the attack power of this first soul skill was higher than that of all civilians. Among the soul masters, there are only a handful of them. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes also widened. She was also curious about how Dai Yao would deal with this move head-on. Looking at the flames shooting out of the sky, Dai Yao didn't panic at all. In the initial test, he realized that Feng Wudong's attack was too weak and could not break through his defense. Although the oncoming flames looked fierce, they actually posed no danger to him. Explosive step, Dai Yao shouted, poured his soul power into his feet, stepped hard, and heard a thud. Smoke and dust rose from the ground, completely covering Dai Yao's figure, and the ground under his feet also shattered into a spider web shape. The next second, a figure emerged from the smoke and shot towards Feng Wudong in the sky like a cannonball. Explosive step. Is this your number one soul skill? But why doesn't his soul ring light up? Feng Wudong was a little confused, but when she saw Dai Yao coming towards her in the sky, she was not surprised but happy. You are such an idiot. If you rush towards me in front of my blazing line of fire, you are seeking your own death. Nobles are nobility. They don't know how to fight at all. They only have nothing to lose. Feng Wudong felt contempt in his heart. Why do you have to make such a choice? It's so stupid. Zhang Xiaofan sighed with emotion at Dai Yao's stupid behavior. No, he wanted to defeat Feng Wudong's number one soul skill head-on. Zhu Zhuqing, who was originally worried, reacted. After understanding Dai Yao's thoughts, he was even more shocked by Dai Yao's behavior. An orange line of fire shone in the sky, shooting downwards rapidly, while a figure flew out of the ground, hitting the terrifying flames upwards. The tiny figure is nothing compared to the terrifying line of fire, like an earthworm shaking a tree, a mantis arm acting as a chariot. At this moment, Dai Yao was flying in the sky, his dark yellow soul ring shining, and he uttered a few words coldly. The number one soul skill. White Tiger Protective Barrier. A white barrier appeared in front of Dai Yao, about to come into contact with the flame ray. Feng Wudong, who released the line of fire, was shocked. He is releasing the first soul skill now. What was it just now? A self-created soul skill. After Dai Yao released his first soul skill, the two people watching realized what the soul skill was that Dai Yao had just stepped on the ground and flew into the air. They seemed to be frozen, motionless, and said four words in unison. Self-created soul skills. Among the people they came into contact with, no one had self-created soul skills. Only some characters in legend can possess it, but now, the legendary character appears before them alive. Even if your first soul ring is close to the limit, your choice is too stupid. My blazing line of fire will definitely burn you to death. Feng Wudong was full of confidence and believed in the power of her first soul skill. After all, the third most untouchable person in the academy has personally admitted that her first soul skill is extremely powerful. However, just when the line of fire came into contact with Dai Yao, a scene occurred that made her lose her soul. The white barrier in front of Dai Yao was like a copper wall, dividing her blazing line of fire into two. From the ground, it looks like a bamboo stick split from the top by a blade. The two separated lines of fire shot in the other two directions, and their power was also reduced a lot. How is this possible? How could his first soul skill have such strong defensive capabilities? Cold sweat flowed down Feng Wudong's cheeks, and the scene in front of him was beyond his understanding. Why can a soul master with 2 levels of soul power less than him be so powerful? The fiery line of fire that she was so proud of was shattered head-on. No, this is impossible. She couldn't accept the sight in front of her. She mobilized the soul power in her body, and the fiery rays burned even more fiercely. The orange flame burned Dai Yao's white tiger protective barrier to a brilliant white. The speed of his upward flight did not slow down at all, like a sharp knife, quickly cutting the line of fire in half. and in just the blink of an eye, he was already approaching Feng Wudong. What kind of monster is this? Feng Wudong was extremely frightened, but she did not dare to relax the line of fire on her mouth. However, her struggle was doomed to be in vain. A hand pinched her swan-like neck, huge pain came, and the flames in Feng Wudong's mouth gradually weakened, and a few wisps of fluttering flame sprang out from his mouth, and finally disappeared, and the state of her martial soul's possession began to disappear, and she lost the ability to fly. Under the influence of gravity, Dai Yao grabbed her neck and fell to the ground, destroying everything. Feng Wudong has no power to fight back in front of the fourth prince. Zhang Xiaofan looked at the scene in front of him with dull eyes. He really couldn't believe that Dai Yao won so easily. You must know that Feng Wudong is an extremely difficult existence among first-level soul masters. Firstly, it is because her first soul skill is so powerful that many people cannot block her attack. Secondly, she can fly, and her martial spirit, the ones that can't fly can't hit her at all. This is why Feng Wudong still dared to challenge Dai Yao for a duel even though he knew that Dai Yao was the white tiger spirit. Zhu Zhuqing was also amazed at Dai Yao's power at first, but after seeing Dai Yao grabbing Feng Wudong's neck, she seemed to remember something, felt the same, and touched her neck unconsciously. Dai Yao looked at the pretty face close at hand indifferently, his painful face full of unwillingness, still looking at him angrily. You lose. Dai Yao spit out the facts. 2 lines of clear tears fell from Feng Wudong's face, and he choked and said, I lost. She had thought that she would lose, but she didn't expect that she would lose so completely. Some readers said that it was depressing to read, so I would try to write less. Chapter 2 Afternoon. Chapter 30 Proposal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng Wudong was unable to resist. After Dai Yao let go of his hand, he fell softly to the ground. The clothes on her body were in tatters, exposing her fair skin. In the previous battle, the line of fire from her mouth bounced off Dai Yao and burned some of her clothes. Looks disgraced, she put her hands on the ground, slowly raised her body, looked at Dai Yao desperately, and said in a hoarse voice, You win. From now on, this cultivation land belongs to you. Looking at the miserable Feng Wudong, Dai Yao felt unhappy. Feng Wudong had a hard time living because of the side effects of his martial soul mutation. He had a hard time living because of his family's fate. In his previous life, he could only barely survive for a meager salary and hard work, which was very similar to Feng Wudong's experience. He felt compassion and said to Feng Wudong, This is 100 gold coins, the funds to purchase this land. The market price of this mimic environment is almost the same. From now on, this place belongs to me. Feng Wudong took the gold coin with a sad smile. She hated why she was so weak and couldn't protect what belonged to her. After losing the cultivation environment here, the inner fire in her body will continue to torture her, and maybe it will burn her out in a few years. The only way to survive is to find a hot spring to suppress the inner fire. However, the nobles have long monopolized the hot springs for their own enjoyment. If you want to live, you must sell yourself to those nobles. I would rather be burned to death by the fire of my heart. I will never compromise with those nobles. Feng Wudong has her own persistence. Among those civilian soul masters who sold themselves to the nobles, a few could live with dignity. Unless they were extremely talented soul masters, ordinary civilian soul masters would only end up becoming the slaves of the nobles. Between death and dignity, she would rather choose death. Dai Yao then said, This hot spring is useful to you, but it is of no use to me. If you don't mind, you can stay and continue to practice here. Hearing Dai Yao's kind words, Feng Wudong seemed to grasp the last straw, and a glimmer of light shone into her desperate heart. Why does he help me? What is he trying to do to me? Isn't there only beauty for him? As a low-level commoner, she knows that there is no free lunch in the world, and Dai Yao must have a plan for allowing her to practice for free. She has nothing now, only a pretty skin, but when she saw the slim Zhu Zhuqing in a blink of an eye, she was even more puzzled. She knew that she couldn't compare to Zhu Zhuqing in appearance, so what was Dai Yao to about her? So she said, As long as you don't force me to do things I don't like, I'll stay here. Dai Yao was too lazy to get used to her faults. Do you like to stay or not? Anyway, I am not the one tormented by the side effects of the martial soul. He just pitted Feng Wudong's experience and gave her a choice, but it didn't mean that he had to ask her to stay. Hearing these words, Feng Wudong felt relieved. Dai Yao turned around and looked. The forest was shrouded in darkness. The white horse streaked across the dark sky and landed in the pool below, making a loud rumble. Thinking that this place already belongs to me, my mood is agitated, and I can't help but start to imagine the future. It's like after buying a house, looking at the empty roof, start to conceive how to decorate this room and how to decorate that room. The same is true for Dai Yao, who began to conceive of the place he got. It was empty, not a single house. He walked up to the still shocked Zhang Xiaofan and ordered, "Tomorrow you will send people here to build a few houses, as long as they can be lived in. I will pay you the wages." After Zhang Xiaofan left, there were 3 people left here. Feng Wudong collected the gold coins, walked softly to Dai Yao and the other 2, and invited, "You don't have a place to live now, why not stay in my thatched house for a few days, and it won't be too late to move there after the house is repaired." "Thank you," Dai Yao replied. "After all, I am allowed to practice here for free, so why don't you stay in my thatched house for a few days? Just don't think the room is shabby." Feng Wudong said carelessly. She had a fiery personality, but she didn't show it in front of strangers. When we arrived at the thatched house, it turned out to be very simple. It is simply equipped with a bed and a bamboo chair, and the bed is covered with a lot of dry thatch as a mattress. Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing glanced at each other, but they didn't expect that this was actually the place where a soul master lived. "Your conditions are too difficult." Dai Yao sighed. Feng Wudong did not feel inferior because of poverty, and introduced to Dai Yao generously, "Fortunately, I built these myself. The cost of living in the Royal Academy is too high. Wuhuan Palace will give me a gold coin every month." I thought it was quite a lot, but if you want to live in the academy, 1 gold coin can barely cover your expenses. However, with 100 gold coins, my pressure is much less. She smiled happily and said gratefully to Dai Yao, "Thank you, Your Highness, for allowing me to practice here for free." Dai Yao waved his hand and said, "This place originally belonged to you, but I have a reason to practice here, so I came up with this trick, using your parents to threaten you, and I hope you won't blame me." Feng Wudong looked at Dai Yao blankly. She had never thought that a nobleman, and the supreme prince, would apologize to her. In her impression, nobles were either arrogant and domineering, or they were pretending to be gentlemen and secretly being prostitutes and thieves. Dai Yao sincerely expressed his apology, but Feng Wudong stuttered and his eyes wandered. "It doesn't matter, it's just that I have a prejudice against nobles, so when I heard that you are a noble, my attitude was very unpleasant." "Good." Hearing this, Dai Yao laughed, and Feng Wudong also laughed. After an encounter and conversation, the knot in their hearts was relieved, and the relationship between the 3 gradually became harmonious. "It's getting late, Wudong, you should rest first." Dai Yao looked at the sky and said, "Yes." At this point they have begun to call intimacy. The 3 of them didn't care about the difference in status. Feng Wudong originally wanted Dai Yao to call her sister, but for some reason, Dai Yao never agreed. There was no choice but to let Dai Yao call her Wudong. Dai Yao was complaining in his heart. In addition to his past life, he was almost 30 now, so he couldn't say it to a teenager who was called sister. Seeing Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing gradually enter the state of cultivation, Feng Wudong was surprised. She did not expect that the 2 nobles would practice so hard, even much harder than commoners like them. At night, Feng Wudong and the others would rest. Unexpectedly, Dai Yao and Dai Yao actually used cultivation instead of sleeping. They were really hard-working. Does anyone find this chapter embarrassing?